My dear Dickinsonians, do you want to know what the poem I'm Nobody Who You hummed to me? This time it took me to the relaxed and carefree ambience of a cabaret. So if you want to join the fun, just stay tuned and come with me. Welcome to my particular cabaret, which is the same many-sided living room as usual. Well, come on, just use your imagination. What is it for then? Because today Emily's poem brought me to this entertaining setting by humming this melody to me. I'm nobody, who are you? Are you nobody too? This time the melody came nearly straight away to me, except for she missed the pauses in Are You Nobody Too? Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the pauses, and those pauses are really important, for they carry the intention of surprise, of an unexpected discovery, like this. Are you nobody too? So I had to add one more bar and sing it this way. I'm nobody, who are you? Are you nobody too? Which is the tune you already know. And if you don't, just click on the link and listen to the whole tune. So the first part of the poem turned from this, Are you nobody too? Into this, Are you nobody too? And as nobody is excited to find another nobody and at the same time afraid of them being discovered, the melody emphasizes the next verses like this. There's a pair of us, don't tell they'd advertise you. And the scale that follows symbolizes a stealthy escape, a flight. The next verse goes on like this. How dreary to be somebody. Of course, the words dreary and somebody needed to sound somehow tired, for they both contain tons of boredom. Then the poem kept on singing this for me. How public, like a frog. Frog. But isn't it inevitably tempting to mimic a frog when saying frog? Frog. Yeah, the tune would work definitely much better like this. How public, like a frog. And in the next verse, the melody had to necessarily go up to express the big fuss some people make when trying to catch others' attention. To tell one's name the livelong day. To finish by concluding that your name only matters to an admiring. But what other elements and timbres can we find in the song? Well, what would cabaret music be without a clarinet, a trombone, a good drum kit, an old upright piano which sounds like... But of course, what would a cabaret be without the superb presence of a frog? A frog? Yeah, I know, it's true that frogs did not usually take part in cabaret performances, but there's a frog in the poem and so it's also invited to the show. But let's see how all these elements can interpret the meanings in the poem, as I commented on the previous video. And if you haven't watched it either, just click on the link and listen to the whole comment on the poem. The main aim of this poem is both to praise the lives and work of those creators who do not need a great amount of recognition or attention, and at the same time to mock fame itself as a superficial means of creation. So the clarinet and the trombone work together precisely to ridicule that concept of fame from the very beginning. So we already have them in the intro part, where they play a light, carefree melody, echoing each other as if mocking one another. Also, in the instrumental part where they become the lead, they keep on behaving more or less the same way. They keep on echoing each other, they even echo the piano sometimes, and they sound just loose, funny and silly if you want. And what about the drums? What do they tell us? Well, the symbols symbolize Fame's dazzling light. The drumsticks symbolize the stiffness and lack of spontaneity that fame entails sometimes. And of course, in the end, when the poem says, "To tell one's name the livelong day," the chaotic performance of the drums intend to transmit all the annoying fuss that celebrities make when they crave for attention. And talking about celebrities, yes, my dear pal, of course, I haven't forgotten about you. A little friend is present in the poem, and so is in the tune, to represent those well-known stars who, having succumbed to fame's many charms, have lost themselves into it, thus losing their true purpose. And then they become empty and unnatural. Am I right? Of course I'm right. And regarding the video, well, the poem told me the story of a couple of so-called nobodies who the last thing on earth they like to do is to expose themselves before an audience. Remember what they say. Don't tell. They advertise, for they consider fame dreary and too public. However, I was a bit mean, and then I thought, what if I exhibit them just in the middle of a stage? Exactly, that's the word, mean. But of course it has a reason, for I wanted to show from the inside how uncomfortable some people may feel, literally under the spotlight. So I was forced to torture them a little bit, and then I created some more characters. The first and most important one, another main character together with the nobodies, is fame itself, represented in the video by the spotlights, which teases the poor nobodies by chasing and surprising them all the time, preventing them from remaining in the shadows. But fame also has a couple of invisible accomplices who are the supporting roles in this story and who are the ones in charge of forcing the nobodies onto the stage at the beginning of the show and back onto it over and over again every time they resist to stay. That's extreme cruelty. At some point, the nobodies surrender to the light and try to perform, but they do not feel comfortable, and so they act stiff and unnatural, thus losing their true identities. So finally, the nobodies, feeling helpless, trapped, deafened by fame's fuss, and unable to escape, decide to take control of the situation and just vanish. Well, and this is all the poem I'm Nobody, Who Are You told me. Hope you enjoyed the process, and I hope to see you soon with more Emily and more music.